Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my review of the final season of Sex and the City. This time I'm covering episodes 7 to 10. Jack Berger is gone, thank goodness, but his cowardly breakup still haunts Carrie. Charlotte's wedding is a disaster. Miranda finally meets Dr. Robert Leeds, and Samantha tries to adapt to having a boyfriend. Let's get into it. The Post-It always sticks twice. It is one of the most iconic Sex and the City episodes, all thanks to the infamous Post-It breakup. Upon rewatching it, though, I realized how many plot points get overshadowed by, dare I say it, Jack Berger's best writing to date. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? And it's almost a shame because this episode not only gives us the ladies on a crazy night on the town, but it digs into the sides of their characters we don't always get to see and pretty much does a complete 180 on their personalities. Carrie, instead of being her usual quirky, pun-loving, dressed in a rainbow skirt, manic pixie dream girl who shrieks at the rain, is enraged. And rightfully so. After Berger showed up at her apartment with flowers in the previous episode, confessed his love, and wanted to work on their relationship, he ended things with a Post-it note and left her alone in bed in the middle of the night. The audacity! As a result, we get this enraged, raw, and very unfiltered "don't mess with me, Carrie," which I love. I don't think we have ever seen her this pissed. Maybe once when she threw McDonald's at Big's pristine apartment.
I am such an idiot!
The Post-it of it all is so memorable as it is essentially an old school form of ghosting and perfectly shows how cowardly Berger is. And his depressing friends too. They're terrible just like him. I don't know who let them into this new hot club in the first place. And the fact they were fine with Berger breaking up with Carrie on a Post-it note and even defended him, saying there is no good way to break up with someone as, quote, "women get really angry," tells me everything I need to know about this friend group. Ugh. While Carrie is experiencing the worst breakup of all time, Charlotte is getting engaged to Harry. And here's where the things get interesting. Despite spending nearly the entire show laser focused on getting married and starting a family, Charlotte isn't exactly thrilled. Since it's her second marriage, she feels a bit embarrassed to have another big wedding, especially so soon. It's almost jarring to see Charlotte who doesn't want to make a big fuss out of her engagement. I also think you can see that doubts and hesitation creeping in. That is until she meets that fun bachelorette party and regains her enthusiasm for her wedding. Cute. Then Samantha, who's always been all about maintaining her independence and avoiding traditional relationship labels, gets annoyed at Smith for not calling her his girlfriend during his TRL appearance. Actually, it's not that simple. As his publicist, she was the one to advise him to keep his relationship status vague for his public image. Yet, the moment she hears him say it, something shifts. And it is as if, for the first time, she realizes she might actually want that title. I love this graduate softening of Samantha's character. It's so well written, in my opinion. And Miranda discovers she can fit into a pair of her old skinny jeans, which instantly boosts her confidence, and she no longer feels just like a tomboy. Throughout the entire show, Miranda struggled to feel sexy about herself. I couldn't help but think back to moments like when she awkwardly rode that mechanical bull in LA, or when she was trying like these sexy goddess workouts, or that iconic line, "Sexy is what I try to be after I win them over with my personality." Same girl, same. I absolutely love that Miranda was an early adapter of skinny jeans, which later turned out to be the most iconic piece of millennial fashion. But before the typical millennial skinny jeans with ballet flats and a peplum top look, or the infamous for lads in jeans meme, skinny jeans were already a big thing in the early 2000s in alternative subcultures like emo and indie rock. We all know that Patricia Fields, Sex and the City's costume designer, has always been a part of the alternative fashion scene in New York. So it makes sense that she knew about this rising fashion trend back in 2003 and brought it into the show. Especially because the styling in this episode feels, for lack of a better word, very alternative. You know what I mean? Samantha wears the iconic New York Dolls bodysuit and jeans from Patricia Fields' own fashion label. Carrie is in a Vivienne Westwood hooded dress. Charlotte looks like Charlotte. And Miranda wears her skinny jeans. And even if her jeans weren't that skinny and were used more to accentuate her getting back in shape after her pregnancy, I think this was the first time the term skinny jeans was used in mainstream media, as I vividly remember many fashion publications were calling skinny jeans the skinny pants back in like 2002, which now sounds very strange. Oh, and one more fashion thing. I wrote a community post about it, but a bunch of Charlotte's dresses from seasons 5 and 6 were later reused on extras in the 2003 movie The Stepford Wives, and one of them she wears in this episode. Do we think she's a robot? And if yes, who turned her? My guess is on Bunny.
Don't you hustle me out, young lady. This is Chanel.
And then we get the iconic smoking a doobie. Gosh, Carrie and Samantha's energy in this episode is unmatched. And I don't think we, the fandom, discuss enough the fact that Samantha almost got into a fight in this episode. Queen. I love the return of a stoner Carrie, and also every time Miranda is going full lawyer mode for the girls.
Come on, can't you just let her off?
I'm sorry. I can't. Don't hate me.
Hysterical. Okay, where do I even begin? This episode is full of some of the funniest moments in the entire series. Carrie and Stanford's one-liners are comedy gold.
This is a sex sprain.
Good for you.
It's banter perfection. I live for Carrie and Stanford moments like this. The episode, as the title suggests, is all about the theme of being a catch, or realizing there's always a catch, or wondering whether someone will catch you when you fall. It's a perfect mix of humor, vulnerability, and utter disaster. So let's start with Carrie, who tries out the flying trapeze for an upcoming column. I spoke about this on my channel before, so sorry for repeating myself, but this whole plotline is a clever nod to Candace Bushnell's very first Sex and the City column for the New York Observer, where she explored the world of a New York swingers club called Le Trapeze. Get it? Carrie, up on that trapeze, is a great visual for where she is emotionally. She's trying to take risks again after the fiasco of her previous relationship, but she's terrified of falling. Nevertheless, Harry introduces her to his best man, who we all know as the Jackrabbit Guy. And you guys, he turns out to be just another burger. We don't know if he's a writer or not, but he has the same sense of humor and tells the exact same quick-witted, snarky jokes. And surprise, he's bad in bed too. Frankly, it's terrifying to me that Carrie fell for the same type of guy twice in a row. Carrie, get it together, girl. Anyway, Carrie is the main character, so her storyline always takes up a lot of screen time. And of course, this episode is so big for Charlotte as it's her wedding. Therefore, Miranda and Samantha are given the breadcrumbs. Samantha's whole story in this episode is that she can't open her bracelet because Smith isn't around. As if one of the ladies couldn't do it. And Miranda is insecure about Debbie, Steve's new girlfriend, and I don't get why. Using the episode's lingo, Miranda is a catch herself. She's smart, accomplished, and all around amazing. I don't get why she decided to hide under a bed instead of meeting her. Quick question. Do you guys have random Sex and the City lines permanently stuck in your brains? And I don't mean the classics like shopping is my cardio or we could be each other's soulmates, but the truly obscure random lines from the show no one seems to remember but you. If you do, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to read them. For me, those are almost exclusively Miranda's lines like no warm cookies in couch. I think about it every time I'm on a plane. Or a line from this episode, which is she bought me a fucking candle for serenity and calm. She's so furious. It's so funny.
I was much more serene and calm before the fucking candle.
Finally, let's talk about Charlotte and Harry's wedding. First of all, Anthony must be like the fastest wedding planner in all of New York, because exactly how much time has passed between their engagement and the wedding? A couple of months tops, right? The time passing often confuses me in this show. But while Charlotte's first wedding to Trey was a picture of perfection, this one is a hot mess from start to finish. From the very beginning, things are going wrong. Her New York Times wedding announcement photo doesn't turn out great, Miranda's speech catches on fire, and the whole event feels more chaotic than elegant. However, I just adore that scene when Charlotte is crying in the bathroom because her wedding is falling apart and she gets just the most heartfelt advice from Carrie.
You're just trying to make me feel better. No, I'm trying to get you to open your eyes because you're missing it.
Such a lovely moment between the two of them. It always makes me cry. And also, let's take a moment to appreciate Charlotte's Bradley Mishka wedding dress because, unlike the wedding, it was perfect. A Woman's Right to Shoes is another episode after the Post-It one that made it onto the cultural zeitgeist. Miranda gets chickenpox and meets Robert. Gosh, he's so good looking. Charlotte struggles to accept that Harry is a nudist. Was it ever brought back onto the show? I don't think so. Charlotte doesn't want him to sit naked on her white couch. Meanwhile, Samantha's white blazer gets ruined by a child who throws a pesto pasta at her. And Carrie, oh, we all know the plot too well. Kira, played by Tatum O'Neal, hosts a baby shower in her enormous and expensive New York City loft. From the moment Carrie and Stanford walk in, we know these people are in another tax bracket. They're buying summer houses in the Hamptons. Kira is a photographer, and everything is just so curated. Guests are required to take off their shoes to protect Kira's precious floors. Now, I'm a European, I'm team no shoes in the house, but I think if it's not a part of your culture, everyone should know that before they come over, right? And so Carrie's beautiful princessy Manolos get stolen. Kira refuses to pay for them and she judges Carrie for buying the expensive shoes in the first place. Now then, this episode isn't really about the shoes nor about the money, as I said, these people could totally afford to spend $500 to rebuy Carrie's shoes. It wouldn't be a problem for them. This plotline is essentially a sharp social commentary on how we value women's lives based on whether or not they conform to traditional expectations. Married with kids, your life is seen as significant and celebrated with endless parties and registries. Single and child-free, you're frivolous and self-centered. Oh my god, and that scene when Carrie comes back to Kira's place to return the sneakers she borrowed from her and tries to work things out between them, and the way Kira is so casually judgmental and condescending, like she really sees Carrie's life as silly and unimportant. And also, Kira's hypocrisy is astounding. She looks down on Carrie for spending so much on a pair of shoes, accuses her of leading, quote, an extravagant lifestyle, yet she herself had a registry for her third kid, asking friends to fund her necessities? That sounds super extravagant to me. Having said that, I do feel sympathetic for Kira too though. She seems to be carrying most of the burden of raising her children, and you can sense how it's worn her down. She's wrapped up in her world of diapers and playdates, and somewhere along the way, she forgot basic human decency. That doesn't excuse her behavior, but it does make it more understandable. As for the Manolos, who do we think stole them? Kira? Stanford? My money is on Kira's kids. I think they took Carrie's shoes to play dress up with and then forgot about them under a couch or in a toy chest. Imagine Kira finding them months later. Honestly, I'd love to see it. But of course, as I said, this episode is not about the shoes. It's about respect, validation, and the right to live your life on your own terms. Before we move on to the last episode, I'd like to quickly talk about the introduction of Robert, because I just love the scene where Miranda meets him. She starts off being so official during this co-op board meeting, and then they start to flirt, and she has such a lovely smile on her face. Oh, it's such a cute scene. Still, it is such a shame that Robert's character got introduced so late in the show, because at this point we all know Miranda will end up with Steve. Like, realistically, whether you've seen this show before or watching it for the first time, everything leads up to it. Not only do they have a history and a baby together, but from the first episode of season 6, Miranda realizes she's still in love with Steve, and that they're meant for each other. And so Robert is just there to build up the drama and tension between the three of them and ultimately make Miranda realize what she already knows deep down, that her heart belongs to Steve. But it's frustrating because Robert is such a great character. He's charming, successful, and genuinely into Miranda in a way that feels refreshing compared to her past relationships. It's also so fun to watch her being flirty and open in a way we don't always get to see. And of course, Robert is the first non-white serious boyfriend in Sex and the City, but ultimately it doesn't make any difference because he is introduced too late in the show. What a waste. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I don't like this episode that much. Don't get me wrong. Samantha pretending to be Anabelle Bronstein, a British socialite who somehow has a membership at Soho House, is hysterical. Her bad fake British accent is everything.
I was raised in India.
However, I think I'm not that crazy about this episode because the David Duchovny's plotline gets so much screen time, yet it ultimately leads to nothing, that there isn't enough time for us to celebrate Miranda sleeping with Dr. Robert Leeds for the first time, or that cute ending with Stanford and Marcus. Charlotte is barely in this episode. She doesn't have a plotline of her own. She's just along for the ride. Also, it's not like this episode explores mental health with nuance. It's more like, how come this charming and good-looking guy can live in a mental health facility? Isn't it surprising? I don't know. I think it's this weird mix of lightheartedness and awkwardness that really gets on my nerves. But you know how it is on this channel. I strive for positivity, so I'm going to list everything that I like about this episode that I generally don't like that much. Carrie's chunky highlights. Let's bring this hairstyle back. I'm so ready. Charlotte in space buns. Adorable. A Ginger Spice cameo. Iconic. Lady Bunny. A rare moment of Charlotte and Miranda hanging on their own. That sexy dance routine to Proud Mary. Stanford becoming the prom king, as he should. And generally whenever Stanford gets his own plotline. And I'm going to repeat myself, but Anabelle Bronstein is a highlight of this episode. And that would be it for today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and maybe ring the bell so you'll get notified whenever I post. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye!